Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live stream with the lovely Kathy and the amazing Dorado. We are here today. They are tuning in with us all the way from Halifax, and Dorado is a PADS accredited facility dog that was raised here in BC, actually in our Okanagan program. And so we're just going to give people a few minutes to tune in. And I encourage you to post in the comments if you have questions that you want us to answer. So we're just going to do this as a bit of a Q&A. I'm going to get started and ask Kathy a few questions. We might even ask Dorado a few questions. We'll see if he answers. But if you have questions, please post them in the comments and we will try to answer them for you. So Kathy, tell me a little bit about how it came to be that you have Mr. Dorado, and just a little bit about where you work together and maybe just a little about kind of where things are at right now for the two of you.
So I am a social worker and I work at Sea Star Child and Youth Advocacy Center. I've worked there for about 5.5 years. And when I first started, we had a woman who came in with a dog who was a volunteer and who was available for the kids and families that we support before and after interviews. And I was just really amazed by how helpful and really the dog was just so beautiful and so beautifully trained. When they would come in, they would ding a bell when they came in. Anyway, so I'd never had a dog or even knew dogs could really be like that. But I learned that they train dogs that could be trained to help me do my work better. And so I applied and we were matched like 2.5 years ago, September of 2017.
Nice. And so one of our viewers is asking, is PADS now providing dogs Canada wide? And so PADS does, I'll answer that piece of it. PADS does place accredited facility dogs across the country. We don't place our service and hearing dogs and PTSD dogs Canada wide. There's many programs on the East Coast that meet that need, but less programs that provide the accredited facility dogs. So we're still kind of covering that region in order to kind of provide this service across the country until more schools are kind of up and running with an AFD program. So tell us a little bit about Dorado's personality and just what this guy is like. I love, he's just riveted on you.
Pretty much all the time. He's just a really, really calm, chill, easygoing dog. He's very playful and energetic when he needs to be, or when the situation's appropriate. But there's really not too much that ruffles him. He almost never even barks. So basically, he's just a really good company. We like to take walks together, and really, over the last 2 years, we've gotten to know each other really well, so we can attune into each other's needs. And so there's little ways that he sort of tells me that what he needs or wants, and so I can adapt for it.
Nice. So we've got a couple people, Diane and Caroline, that are asking, what does a typical day look like? And I know you might have two different answers to this, like what it looks like now and what it looked like before COVID, but tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'll talk about pre-COVID in terms of like his base work. We do a lot of different kinds of things during a given day, and one of what I think Dorado Superpowers really is that he depends on me to so he might have the same command for different settings and different situations, and what he's really depending on is me to let him know what's the appropriate. So he's always tuning into me, and then I'm kind of guiding him what to do. So we wake up, he's just a regular dog, he's off vest, right? We take a walk, we go to work. Sometimes we go to work on the bus, he has to be in vest. He's like full on like a service dog, he's ignoring everyone. We get to work and it's a little trickier. Sometimes in vest, he can have interaction with the kids. That's his special training. And sometimes he has to act like a service dog. When we're supporting kids, so we support kids. Sometimes when there's a suspicion that there's a concern that kids have been hurt and they have to share. We want to find out what's going on with them, and so they have to share. Kind of, it might be a scary story. And before I got Dorado, kids would have to share the story kind of by themselves. And so Dorado Superpower is that he can be there when kids come to the center. He can greet them. He can help to make them feel more comfortable. But he can actually go with kids when they're having conversations, so they don't have to be feel like they're by themselves, right? So they still have to do something that might be kind of hard, but it's less scary. And so we know that it helps them to process the experience. So then when he's with a kid supporting a child in that way, he might look exactly like he looks right now. Like basically he gets up and he'll lay with them and let them snuggle him. And he'll lay with them right on their lap. And then when he's done, we kind of go out into the hallway and we might shake it off and we can play games and we can be a little bit more playful. So he adjusts his behavior based on what we're doing, if that makes sense.
Yep, for sure. And we were talking a little bit earlier about what makes PADS dogs special and different. And I think, some of what you've touched on there also talks about what makes our PADS handlers special and different, and the team itself different. So just talking about the ability to kind of dissipate stress after a call, that kind of thing, is a really important part of the equation, I think, for our accredited facility dogs. So I'm going to just speak for a second here. So accredited facility dogs work in a wide variety of situations. So we've got dogs that work in schools and dogs that work in hospitals or in child advocacy centers or with law enforcement, victim services, that kind of thing. And so they work in a wide variety of situations, but what we're looking for is this dog that has this beautiful resilience that they can go in and kind of take on those tough conversations with people and stressful situations, but not kind of carry that weight around on their shoulders, that they're able to kind of shake it off. Can you talk a little bit about what his, routine and his de-stress and his kind of day-to-day kind of looks like for you?
I think the thing that keeps him the most grounded is our routine and connecting with me. So it's a lot of little things that we do kind of just fold into our day. Always after tough conversations, we take a little break, right? And he goes outside and he literally will shake it off. And sometimes it helps other like humans to shake it off too, which is really good. But yeah, most of the time I think it's he connects with me. Like if I'm okay, he kind of orients from there.
Nice. Okay, so I'm going back to the comments. There's a few things. So Kim and Caber and Puma say hello, and Wendy says hello, and Caroline says Nova Scotia strong, and but we have a few more questions. So Caroline's asking, can you talk about what the C-Star Center does? Like, what's the function of C-Star?
Thank you. So C Star is a child and youth advocacy center. We're located at the IWK Health Center in Halifax. That's his official ID.
Okay, yeah.
So we provide ongoing support to kids and families who are where there's an investigation into child abuse. So the families that come to see us, there's an allegation that a child has been hurt, and they have to make a statement. They're doing an investigation, a statement to the police and DCS. So in the past, these conversations might happen over several different places, over many several days. And so what child and youth advocacy centers attempt to do is to kind of offer a one-stop shop, right? So the child comes in with their family, they're offered support. It's a safe and supportive environment, and they tell their story one time. And all of the providers are basically co-located. So it's a trauma informed approach to try and soften the impact of this work.
Perfect. What a hugely needed service too. I think that it's neat to see how the dogs are making a difference, but also just the different organizations that are out there in the community doing that. So we have a few more questions. Joyce says, love to you both, so proud of the work that you do. Val is asking, can Dorados support children when they need to go to court?
So the accredited facility dog is the accreditation that would be required, I think, for dogs to support kids in court. As of 2019, last summer, the case law, Dorado and I helped to establish case law in Nova Scotia. And so now kids can have the option of requesting a court support animal. The issue here in Nova Scotia, I think, is that we don't have, like, he's the only accredited facility dog we have. And so, so it's a matter of resources, right? So we support kids at the front end, and so it makes it more difficult to support all the kids who would need support.
Yeah. All righty. I'm just looking to see if anybody that's watching has just tuned in. We're live with Dorado and Kathy from Halifax. Dorado is one of PAD's accredited facility dogs. So if you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments of the feed and we will try and answer them. And I'm just looking through. Liz says, I'm sorry the service is needed, but so grateful you're both there to help kids. Caroline says, thank you for what you're doing. And tell us some fun things about Dorado. What is his favorite toy? What does he like to do to just unwind?
He's a pretty serious dog. He really is. So he loves tug of war. And so he loves to win when that's possible. His favorite thing, honestly, is taking walks in the woods. And sometimes, like, he's super fast, like he can run through the woods. He really enjoys showing off, like how like if you're taking a walk in the woods with him, at some point he'll stop and he'll wait and he'll sit, and he wants to show you, wants you to go way far so that he can show you how long he'll wait, and he'll come running up, right? So but probably I'm going to say people. He just loves to be around people and just get all the attention he can. Yeah. He connects. I think he smells people's emotions and he seems to be able to attune very easily with people, even though he hasn't really met before. It's pretty impressive.
That's fantastic. So Liz has a question. How old is Dorado?
Dorado is 5. He turned 6 September 1st.
Nice. And a little bit of background, some of you that have followed us for a long time might remember that Dorado was part of our Pure Gold litter, which was our 50th litter that we ever had at PADS. And our community helped name these pups. So yeah, it's amazing that that was that long ago. So Tessa wants to know, what's Dorado's favorite snack?
Carrots, and his his steamed carrots is his favorite, and his least favorite is string beans. But he will eat them eventually, but he'll leave them in the bowl for a while.
That's amazing. So Edwina's asking, does he get additional training from PADS throughout the years, or does all that training last from when he was a puppy?
So he was trained. Honestly, I think that his training really does last. It's up to me every single day when we're playing, when we're working, we're reinforcing. So it's all about me maintaining. It's the ongoing training has to be for me almost, because what I've noticed is that any errors that are made are usually mine. Maybe I've given a command a little bit too soon. Maybe I've kind of slipped a little, like pushed the edges. Maybe I gave the command and it was windy and he didn't quite hear. And so usually it's just about practice, practice, practice. Honestly, I try to fold it into like every single day, kind of all day, because he seems to thrive when he can kind of predict it. So.
And for those of you that aren't familiar with ADI schools, part of our accreditation too is doing annual follow-up. So that isn't necessarily training, but it's just a check-in point to make sure that the dog is still performing all of their cues and behaviors as intended, and just kind of checking in with our clients and supporting them. And then there's also, we provide support just on an as needed basis. So, if Kathy had a new situation that she wasn't sure how to kind of introduce Dorado to or something like that, our team is kind of here to support that process as well. A few more questions. So Sarah is asking, how do you describe the difference for you in your work now that you have Dorado?
It's very, very different. Working with the kids, I've worked with kids. I've been a social worker for like almost 20 years, and I'm pretty good at helping to make people feel comfortable. But with him, it's like magic. Like it's so instant that people feel safe. It's so validating for the kids and families to have this dog, just even to know that it's what they're doing is hard enough that they train dogs to help people through it. It's really just so helpful. There's pieces of my job that I think are more complicated. I work in a hospital. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of interest in the dog. He's quite popular. And so it was a bit of an adjustment, just learning kind of like how much attention you get from having the dog. When I first got him, I thought, I would take him out for walks and I thought, oh, I must be looking pretty good because people are like, beautiful, beautiful, you're gorgeous. But then it's like that minute, like that moment you realize that your dog is like more attractive to people than you are, right? So it's been interesting for sure.
That's a funny story, but yes, I have that experience too, going out with dogs in public, people just walking by you saying beautiful. So Caroline's asking, was it challenging to convince the powers that be that an AFD would be a valuable addition to the team?
I'm like, which powers that be? For sure, in terms of the application to the school, to PADS, was obviously very supported. The powers that be within my workplace, it's a big workplace. I think that it's always complicated from start to from like when I applied for the dog to like when he was placed. I think it was like a year and a half. So we had some time to sort of figure things out. And then even as we go, like we grow. And so there's been, kind of learning opportunities along the way.
Yeah. I think that, you know, anytime we introduce a dog into a new environment or a new community, there's definitely adjustment and processes and thoughts that have to kind of be addressed, and particularly somewhere like a hospital, kind of looking at what that looks like. Um, so I have one hello from Dorados, Nikki, who is Dorados Advanced Center from 60 Months On, uh, just says they miss him and still talk about him all the time. So, um, and I think maybe like we're coming kind of near the end of our broadcast today. Um, I'm just wondering if anybody has any last minute questions that they want to ask. Look at this face. Oh my goodness, he's adorable. Um, and I think too, do you see the need growing on the East Coast because of Dorado kind of coming in? I know we talked earlier a little bit about kind of the situation right now, and just even supporting some of like the first responders and folks that kind of are dealing with COVID and everything else. Do you see your role kind of changing and evolving? What does that look like for you right now?
Right now, we're working primarily from home because COVID has made everything a little bit more complicated. To answer the first part of your question, I think that there really is a great need for dogs like Dorado on the East Coast. I think that him coming here kind of hopefully will shed some imagine creativity, giving people some ideas about the different kinds of work that he can do. And I think particularly as we learn more about trauma and how we can prevent it, and as organizations seek to become more trauma informed in the way that they work, I really hope to see. I think we could see them in schools with victim services, hospitals, like there's first responders, all of that. So I hope that it's the beginning for this kind of work out here. Yeah. So I've kind of forgotten the second part of your question.
Oh, the second part was just how is your role looking in terms of your support of the people around you, the first responders and various people that you work with, you know, whether it's at the hospital or C-Star, you know, what's that looking like right now with COVID going on?
It's been kind of a challenge with that. I think for everyone, I think that we're challenged by the current situations to think creatively about how we can support people, not using our normal kinds of ways to connect. Now, always part of our work when we're at the hospital today. When we see people, I think that there's always like a double benefit when we're there, because even just people seeing him in the hospital from across the room seems to have an effect in terms of making them feel good. And it's like a rise of good emotions, right? So I think it's going to be evolving, and as we go, just like everyone else, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Caroline's just asking, is there an AFD community on the East Coast at all? Do you receive support from a national community of AFDs?
The biggest support that I receive is through pads, and through the supportive I guess it's mentorship, right? Where the training I've received. The first part, I still feel like I'm growing. I'm only now kind of getting comfortable. Like the first part was just trying to figure out how to have a dog. And then it was like trying to figure out how to do my work with the dog and how to kind of navigate the different systems. And so now I'm beginning to kind of feel like I can go a little bit further. But yes, I would love to be connected, and I'm really not super connected with organizations. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. We loved seeing you both today. It's such a nice treat, especially you know, our client teams are spread far and wide, and we don't often get these lovely check-ins or opportunity to ask questions. So thank you both so much for taking the time out of your day to kind of join in with us. Oh my goodness, that face. So I want to invite everybody that's watching back tomorrow. We'll be back with our Hollywood Dogs Litter in the Lower Mainland. And then on Saturday, we've got one of our service dog clients, Rebecca with Kurtz, is going to be joining us at 1 p.m. Pacific. So please tune in for that. We'll put a post up on the Facebook page probably tomorrow that you can share, let people know that that's happening. And thank you everybody for tuning in and for joining us for our little podcast today. And thank you, Kathy and Dorado, for being here.
Thank you.